Okay, so for the story behind the story, when I was a little girl, I had a dream of becoming a writer and an illustrator of children's books. Um, I am a writer and I do artwork, and I still write stories with a degree in creative writing that I earned, but my degree has an emphasis more on poetry and an English degree as well. So this particular story that I made in the 5th grade was an assignment, and everyone in Mrs. Sherman's class, and then I think there was another classroom that my best friend Lisa was in, who also had the same assignment. We were all supposed to write and illustrate a story with a beginning, middle, and end. And my story has a happy ending. I like happy endings. And my best friend Lisa stole this story and changed a couple things and then tried to pass it off as her own. And when I got wind of it, and her mom just thought it was great, she was going to send it off to Children's Highlight magazine. When I got wind of it, I had my first taste of what plagiarism is all about, and I was pissed. And I remember being my own advocate. I marched down to her homeroom, and I confronted her and the teacher, and then I confronted her mom. And I was really upset. It put a big dent in our friendship for quite a while. But I forgave her, and we carried on to be friends. She ended up becoming a teacher, by the way. She went to the U of O and became a teacher. And I've got stories from our friendship, years of childhood into our teenage years. And some of it's pretty wild, especially the party at the U of O that I went to. So as I mature, my stories also have matured. And some of my stories that I write in my poetry involves cuss words now. It's not child appropriate. Some of the stuff isn't. And some of it involves horror and rape and different things that aren't nice. But that's what happens with a degree in English and writing when you study this stuff, especially if you've experienced some of the stuff in your own real life. So I am writing a memoir as well about my own life, because truth is stranger than fiction sometimes. And I've had a pretty amazing life so far, full of situations that are almost like fairy tales gone wrong. The funny thing about this book was it's all about a red rock. And there's a theme of a red rock. The wizard wants all of the red rocks in the whole wide world before he'll turn everything back to the way it should be. But there's a theme about red rocks in my life where my first marriage, my wedding ring had a red rock in it. It's a ruby. And unfortunately, the rock fell out one day when I was working at Safeway, and it fell either into someone's grocery bag or into the red carpet I was standing on. And then my marriage also fell apart. And then I was doing some research, and I discovered that the unsolved murder mystery that's in the family of the family I married into, they found a ring on the property that had a red stone in it, and it may have belonged to Melody Jones, who disappeared at the age of 19 after her husband, Paul Jones, was murdered in Earlsboro, Oklahoma. So that's strange. I mean, it's just coincidental. It's just strange. And I live in the Emerald Valley in Oregon, and I know where the wizard's located. And I also know about witches because I have red hair, and I had a wart on my chin in 1st grade, and I now live across the street from a woman whose legal name is Snow White. That's strange, but it's true. So truth is stranger than fiction. And I also know about alchemy and how chemistry works, and how some of the early alchemists later became the modern day pharmacists. And they still look for everlasting life, or how to extend life, and how to turn other metals or other material into gold or money. And I don't like Trump, our president, and I don't appreciate Melania plagiarizing Michelle Obama's speech. And I don't appreciate Trump calling women, grabbing women's asses and pussies. He can leave my donkey and my kitten alone, and my rump. And I don't like some Trump supporters like Alex Jones. He's ridiculous, ludicrous, ridiculous. Saying he'd eat his neighbors if it got bad enough. Gross. He's not coming anywhere near my ass. He can eat his own family first. But anyways, in my story, there was a mention of swamps, and I know Trump said he was going to drain the swamps. Well, maybe he should start with his own gold toilet first. Set a better example for people. Wear a fucking mask. Put a fucking paper bag over your head. And I'm not happy with Biden either. Biden just said something stupid today. I heard on the news. It's a white man. God, we keep electing all these old white men. Old European white men. Why don't we try a female Native American? That would be lovely. Anyways, the other part of the background of this story was I used to be babysat by a neighbor named Kathy Ridings. I can't remember, and her little girl's name was Misty, and I thought that was a beautiful name. So I used her little girl's name as my character in my book, and it's even got little mistakes that my teacher corrected. Actually, that wasn't a mistake. She thought it was, but the tree's name was Apollotus. I made that up, and she thought it was a mistake. Anyways, I had a lot of fun doing this. I'm sure it will never get published unless I publish it, because, the crayon illustrations definitely show that of a little kid. It's not sophisticated. And it's got stains. And obviously, the front of it's got a coffee stain. I mean, how classic. This is a classic relic from days gone by, from the 1970s. A hero's journey tale. And I'm still on one, too. God, I have been through the ringer at my age. Look at that torn and tattered dress. Yep. But she's determined. She's a determined little girl. And